celebrate the 30th anniversary of Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation album, we are very happy to welcome back award-winning choreographer Tina Landon, who played an important role during the Rhythm Nation project and world tour. Tina, thanks for making time for us on the Kelly Alexander Show.
Absolutely. What's going on?
Well, super excited because it's the, of course, 30th anniversary of Rhythm Nation. And in preparing for this interview, I actually went back and listened to our chats from the 25th anniversary of Rhythm Nation. And at that time, I listened to the whole thing. And at that time, I had asked you what it would feel like to go back and dance Rhythm Nation again, because so many years had passed back in 2014 since you had done Rhythm Nation. So if we now fast forward to October of 2017, when Janet and you and the other Janet dancers all came back and performed Rhythm Nation at the Hollywood Bowl, did you ever think in your wildest dreams that that experience would happen?
Oh, gosh, no. I never did. I think you put it out there and you made it happen. So I'm putting this all on you. No, I just never did, and that's why when the opportunity arose, I was like, I think it probably was the same for all of us. I don't think anyone even questioned it. Everyone was like, yeah. the only thing I questioned was like if my body could still do it. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to. And then it's like, but can I? Will my body betray me, or will I be able to do this? And, of course, that fear went away 2 seconds later, and I was on a plane. So it was pretty awesome.
Awesome. And we talked about it briefly a couple of years ago about the experience, but I did just kind of want to go over a few things because I don't think I asked you specific things about that performance. Can you tell us what it felt like to be on stage with Janet again? Because at that point, it had been 8 years since you had last stepped onto a dance floor together. So did it feel like old times, sort of being just off to her left or off to her right?
Oh, yeah. It was, and that's probably the strangest part of it all, was that it didn't feel strange. It didn't feel anything other than this is what was supposed to be happening that night. Like, it literally felt like I was still on tour. Like, I was still sore. I was still tired. And just kind of being right off of her shoulder. And it was very, very surreal. And like, I'm looking over her shoulder out into the audience and actually seeing some fans that were with us since Rhythm Nation that are still out there with the same energy, jumping up and down, giving us all that love. And then all the technical stuff that goes through my mind, because that's just what happens when I'm on stage, with the lighting and the staging and the, don't mess this up, Tina. Like, all of that was going on in my brain, while at the same time I was like a 5-year-old who just got the biggest piece of cake, and I couldn't sit still in my skin. Like, I was just jumping up and down inside.
It's awesome because I rewatched the performance this morning just to sort of get my head back in the game. And, watching it, you could tell that Janet was so happy and emotional to have all of you back on stage with her to celebrate. And I'm assuming that it had to be super special for you, not only to dance with her again, but as you looked around the stage, you were responsible for a lot of those dancers that were up there who you had brought in through auditions for the Janet tour and the Velvet Rope tour. What was going through your mind on stage, like just sort of seeing that part of it, like where it's like these are people that you helped bring to her?
Again, I'm probably going to overuse this phrase or this word surreal, but that's really the only way you can explain it, because it's like watching your family grow. My sister has 6 children, and I've seen all of them, in her stomach first, and then now they're all like in college and living lives, and now they're having their own kids, and our family just keeps growing and growing and growing. And until I think we were on that stage all together going, oh my gosh, like we are all connected through her. And she's like, if you look at a big tree and the family roots and the roots that just come down and they spread out and they have little tags here and there and they just keep going and going and going. And that's kind of what it felt like, watching all of us. And, the dance community is so small. We all know each other through Janet or outside of Janet, through other projects. So it was awesome to see us all come together. And then as we're watching each other, like, again, seeing those little pieces of roots going off in different directions and seeing, who's working for who now and who's choreographed and doing their own things and their own projects and who's directing now. And it's, it's not like we all came back together and we're still dancers, like, well, because some of us are kind of old, but we've all kind of branched out and in different ways and different directions. And yet we all have this common connection with Janet. And it was just, it was something that I think, what I did notice is that she's such a unique artist in the way that she has loved and nourished and championed for her dancers and her team, that I remember being on stage going, I don't think another artist could do this, because they use dancers, get rid of them, next group comes in, like there's no real connection. And Janet, when she says like, this is my family, it truly is. And I could see it and feel it that night on stage.
And you got like 2 mentions, because you got the first mention, and then as she was kind of wrapping things up, she like looked at you specifically again and kind of said a few other things. So it's like, yeah, it's like that A-team connection that I always talk about between you and Janet was like, you could just kind of see it in that extra moment that she gave you. So yeah, I can only imagine. I know the fans are obviously ecstatic to have you be with her again. So we're still waiting for that new music video that you're going to choreograph for her.
Yes, I keep getting lots of love from the fans, and it's always appreciated.
I wanted to ask you too, now that you've had time to reflect on that specific Hollywood Bowl experience, which you didn't think was happening, because actually in our interview 5 years ago, you had actually said, I hope I get to dance with her again before we're in rocking chairs. And so,
Right.
so I laughed out loud.
I probably said wheelchair.
Yeah, probably that too. But yeah, now that you've had, a couple of years to reflect on it, because it's actually going to be 2 years and not too long since that performance happened. And now that it's the 30th anniversary of Rhythm Nation, where does the song and the album sit with you now because of that experience from 2 years ago?
I don't know. I don't know how to put words on that. I think it's almost like it's given it a new life and a new appreciation. But regardless, that song, like hearing it will always take me back to the original time, my first time with her, the first time working on such a cool project, that the feeling that you got when you were working on it, you knew you were creating something special. You knew you were part of something special, but you weren't going to be able to see it, until like now, when you can have a bird's eye view and go, wow, like we knew it was going to be special, and it was, and it was for so many, the message and the style of the choreography that Anthony did, and everything was so new and crisp and, on that cutting edge. And so when I hear that song, I literally I feel proud. I feel really proud to have been part of such an amazing project.
Hanging out with us on the show is award-winning choreographer Tina Landon. You can follow her on Instagram at I am Tina Landon. Tina, when Janet released Rhythm Nation back in 1989, I'm sure there was a hope, and I think she's even mentioned this before, that she did feel or hope that eventually the world would kind of get its act together, and that a lot of these issues that she spoke of at the time would be resolved or worked through. But here we are 30 years later, and these problems are still happening and are seemingly worse because of the political climate that's going on. And I would say the current president of the United States not helping matters. So
right.
Yeah. So where, is Rhythm Nation more relevant than ever?
Yeah. And that's what's crazy. I mean, to me, it fits in a category now with so many songs, like, Marvin Gaye's song comes to mind. I can't remember the name right this second, but there's so many classic songs that are writing about the times, of the world and what's going on. And Rhythm Nation definitely could be re-released today and still be relevant, because sadly, but at the same time, it's such a positive message that, I don't know, it still gives me hope when I hear songs like that. And I think about the message, on one hand, yeah, we can look at the world and go, wow, I can't believe she wrote this however many years ago, 30 years ago to be exact. And nothing in our world has changed. And yet the song still brings me hope, that there are like-minded people. There are people who believe in no color lines and no racism and love for all. And I'm thankful for that song, and I just feel like we should just keep playing it today over and over and over again, and maybe people will, I don't know, listen for once. I don't know. Sorry, I just went off the left because I'm just very frustrated with the way of the world right now.
When we spoke on the 25th anniversary of Rhythm Nation in 2014, Janet was still on hiatus at the time. Since then, she's come back with an album. She had a baby. She's done a ton of concerts in the States, in Canada, and other parts of the world. She seems more popular than ever in a way. And you had said that back in 2014 that the world needed Janet to come back. Has it unfolded the way you thought it would, the way she's made her return?
Yeah, actually it has. Like, I just, I don't speak to Janet all the time, but I just, from watching her latest performances and kind of seeing this resurgence that's happening for her, I just see kind of like a rebirth with her. Personally and professionally, I just feel like whatever was holding her captive, I'm speaking more, what am I trying to say? Fill my words in, Kelly. I can't think of my words. But, like when something, whether it's emotional, physical, whatever, it's like something has broken free, I think, with her.
Okay.
And I think that the fans feel it. I think the world feels it. And, I'll say this, I've said this from the beginning, that Janet has some of the best fans in the world because they have been so loyal and so loving. And that also goes along with the message that Janet has given to her fans and to the world. It's like she always comes from a place of love, no matter what she's doing. She's a very gracious person. And I think that shows in her music and in her life. And I just think there was a rough moment. And I think that she's come through that and come up for air and now, kind of being able to be in a place to receive all the glory that's been given to her and the fans that have stood by her so loyally going, yes, our girl's back and we're going to stay here. We're going to support and we're going to spread her love and her music. And yeah. Sorry, I'm just all over the place this morning.
No, that's fine. That's good. And I'm glad you brought
Stay with me.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And I actually have a couple of follow-up questions just based off of what you said. And I guess the first one would be with regards to, like you said, she just seems in a better place. And I don't think that before she was in a bad place necessarily, except for probably, that Super Bowl situation that she went through and all that. But
right.
But the part where, like, I've noticed as a fan, and I mean, you are someone who's worked with her for years and friends with her on a personal level. So you would be able to speak to this better than any of us. But as a fan, I can say over the last little while that when you see clips of her on stage now versus, let's even say, back, during the Velvet Rope tour or the All For You tour, where I think she was in such business mode, for lack of a better word. Like she was on a mission. She had that project to complete. She was trying to give everything she could to the fans. And I think on some level she had a high level of wanting to achieve. And now I feel like, not that she doesn't want to achieve anything anymore, because she's still doing that clearly, but I feel like she's in a better place to, like you said, receive it and even look back a little, but not dwell on the past, but be like, wow, those were really special times.
Right. You're talking about, when you're saying special times, you're talking about
like all of her accomplishments, like looking back now, because now we're specifically talking about Rhythm Nation, but yeah, like even just with this, being able to celebrate 30 years, like you can almost see it in her eyes and her cheeks, like she's like taking it in, like you can see that she's seeing it, and like even just like I said, watching this morning that Rhythm Nation performance from 2 years ago when you guys were all together at the Hollywood Bowl, like you could see, like I think that was almost the beginning of it, but the beginning stages of her being able to look back with pride and reflection.
Oh, absolutely. I feel the same way. I think as artists, sometimes you get so focused on the end result or kind of like the daily grind. Yeah. And people would ask me all the time, like, oh, weren't you freaked out when, Janet asked you to do this, or when you did the Velvet Rope project, or when you were, and really, yeah, you get freaked out if you try to do the whole thing in your brain as one lump project. But when you take it bit by bit and you're grinding and grinding and grinding. It's like, okay, that one's done. Okay, this is done. Okay, we make that date. Okay, we did that show. We got on the plane. We did this. You don't always get the chance to reflect. And that's kind of what I meant earlier, not just from a dancer perspective, but just how many artists can do that? You know, how many, like with today's music, and I hate to say it because it just makes me sound old, but there's a lot of music out there that are going to be one-hit wonders. We'll never hear them again. They're fad. It's fad music. It's fun and it's danceable and it's cute for the moment, but it's not long lasting. And you can just hear it and feel it. And that's because the work that Janet has done hasn't just been by the seat of her pants. You know, she's thought about it. She's worked hard towards it, and she's cultivated a career. And I love the fact that she's in a position in her life where she's in such amazing shape and that she's not only continuing to do the work she started, but that she can revel in it a little bit. And she deserves to like really enjoy it. And I think, I think that also comes with age and experience, that you do get to kind of put on another set of glasses and go, yeah, I get to actually enjoy what I'm doing. I don't have to just grind and think about the next project before this project is done. And I'm really happy for her because I think it shows in her spirit that she's really being able to take in the work that she's done and be so blessed to continue to be able to still do it.
What's your thoughts on this next question that I have for you, in the fact that she keeps adding concert dates, right? Like she had done the State of the World tour, and then we thought that things were over for a bit, but then she went and started doing some festivals, and now she's added another 10 dates to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Rhythm Nation. Like she just keeps adding dates, which, for all of us fans, we are beyond thrilled. And I'm just wondering again, is it because you think now she's getting to enjoy these dates more, like where she's just enjoying every single concert and being in front of every single fan that comes out to see her?
I'm guessing because these aren't questions that I've ever spoken to her about, but I also think that, her life is different now. She does have a child, and all my friends who have children, I see a change in them because it's not always just about you first. So maybe part of that is like, listen, I don't know if I want to take on, 100 shows, but let's do 20. Let's see how that goes. And then, wow, that was fun. Let's add 20 more. Let's see if, what's going on with my life and my child, that I can balance all this, as opposed to putting her child on the back burner while she just goes out and does shows. You know what I mean? I think it's become maybe a little bit of a balancing act, and also the fact that, trust me, when we got off stage at the Super Bowl, I think we all wanted, okay, where we're going next? We got this down now. Let's go on to the next one. Like, I think if she would have asked us to do 3 or 4 more shows, we all would have just jumped on it because it was so fun. And I think, that's part of it too. It's like, if she's enjoying it, let's just keep adding shows. Why not?
And do you think too, like you mentioned her having her son, I feel like that almost is changing her too as an artist, where like maybe there's some level of, because I'll backtrack for a second. When I talked to Nikki Pantenberg after the Hollywood Bowl performance, and she actually got emotional in our interview because that was the first time that her daughter had seen Mama get up on stage and do that. And it was crazy, and it was so sweet. Like, she was super appreciative of Janet, like, allowing her that opportunity. And then she said it was just so special to have her kids see her in action. Do you think there's some level of that? I realize Issa's still super small, but there must be some level, too, where, like, she's got this renewed joy because now she has a child.
I mean, I can only guess that, yes. And I think, when people are feeling inspired, no matter what it's from. Maybe it's your, significant other, maybe it's your child or someone in your family or a best friend, or you have people that are inspiring you, and it's kind of gives you more of a reason just emotionally to like, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing because I want to keep this feeling going. It's so joyful. Mm-hmm. I mean, how old is Issa now?
He's gonna be 3, I believe, in the new year. That sounds right.
Right. So I think, and I don't know. I mean, I would just be guessing, but I just think that, yeah, children definitely change you and change your perspective, change your heart, change all of that. So I'm sure she's just is more inspired just by the love of having him.
Okay. And I did want to bring you back for a second to a question that I asked you on the 25th anniversary, and I want to see if you give me the same answer. 5 years later.
Am I going to fall through like a door trap if I get it wrong?
No, I think this is just for fun because I just want to see if your mind has changed at all in the last 5 years. What is your favorite song off Rhythm Nation?
Oh, gosh.
Because you said at the time that it was like, I'll actually, no, you answer. I'm not giving you hints. Go.
Okay. I think it was The Knowledge.
There you go. That's it. You got it.
Yeah.
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 And you also said at the time you were
cool.
angry that you weren't in the video part of the song.
I was so mad. Like, and every tour has that. And, the boys used to be off stage doing Lonely because on the side of the stage every single night during Velvet Rope because they weren't in that number and they wanted to be so badly. And I was like, no, it's for the girls. So I do understand their pain. Because, I wanted to be in The Knowledge. It just was the coolest song to me. It still is a cool song. It was just different and vibey and strong and powerful. And so, I wanted to be in that.
Okay. And before I let you go, I did want to ask, too, when you were back at the Hollywood Bowl performance and you kind of were dancing in the section where it was you and the original OGs from Rhythm Nation, Anthony Thomas and Travis. What was that like for you just being with those guys again?
Oh, my God. It was so amazing. It really was because it's just if you're a dancer who has been on stage with other dancers where you physically and emotionally connect with them on stage. It's the only way I can explain it. It would be as if we all just had like if you strung a piece of wire that had a magnetic field to it and you strung it through all of us. There's just something about dancing together because you literally feel like you're kind of all on the same wave. You're all moving at the same speed and you're all taking in all the intricacies at the same time. So you're actually sharing an experience on stage that is like no other. And it doesn't come with just dancing in a room of, 300-400 people. It comes from dancing with people that you know intimately, people that you've worked with so closely that you just know when you're slapping your, that hand on your hip, that they're doing it at the same time. And it really is a connection that's hard to explain, but is so powerfully felt. And that's exactly what was happening on that stage. And if you watch, you'll see that I was smiling from ear to ear the whole time because I just literally could not contain myself. I was having such a good time.
Definitely.
And if she's going to do it again, she better do it while we can all still move.
And I wanted to mention, because I in those dancer names I mentioned from the OGs, of course, Terry Bixler has to be in that. And he looked like he was having the best time, too. Of course. So that was obviously very special for all of us. And I know that not all of the Rhythm Nation dancers, the original OGs, were at that performance. What do you have to say to them? And I know that, sadly, Art Palmer is no longer with us. So do you have any thoughts on what you'd say to the ones who couldn't be there and obviously are passing away?
Oh, you know what? They were felt, regardless. It's like, I can't think of the Rhythm Nation tour without thinking of Art or Karen, who's still alive and well. She just couldn't make it with us. And Lavelle also. And, their spirits were still there with us on stage.
Awesome. And so now the big question, of course, people love Tina Landon. Mm-hmm. Where are you and what can people catch you doing?
Oh, dear Lord. I feel like I'm doing so many things all over the place. Two big things. My husband and I are opening up Loud Music Company here in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're very excited about that. It's going to be a store that carries collector, vintage instruments, and also will have guitar and piano and drum lessons for students that, want to come and learn. I am currently learning how to play the drums. I am really bad, but but I love it because I get to bang on things and make noise. And then I leave in a couple of days. I'll be in Abbotsford, Canada, of all places. And I'm going to be working on an ice skating show called Rock the Rink. So you guys should get your tickets and come check it out.
Awesome. Well, I love you profusely. You know that already. So thank you. And thank you for coming back and kind of discussing this 5 years later, because I know I asked you a ton of questions on the 25th, but I think I asked you different ones this time around. So I think we're good.
Yay.
Yay.
I'll be back for the 30th of something else.
That's right. You know you will be. I have your phone on speed dial, so it's good. That's award-winning choreographer Tina Landon. Make sure you follow her on Instagram at I am Tina Landon.